G'day everyone, I'm Smokescreen, and welcome back to another video. So here we go, we're in Group 1, we're at Le Mans for Daily Race C a few weeks ago. That seems to be the usual norm here, so I've set a qualifying lap, albeit not a great one, as it puts me 13th on the grid. It's a 3:27.5, you can see Paul 3:18, so he's nearly a full 10 seconds quicker than me in my Porsche 919 Hybrid. I think that's the one, that's what it's called, yes. And I've got a lovely multicoloured livery here. I'm not really sure why I picked it. I think I just like the look of the yellow and sort of blue, ocean blue and candy pink combination. But let's see if we can get the strategy right and convert a 13th position into at least a 13th position, as that's where I started. So I got a little bit deep before even bloody start lap 1 really. Nearly get overtaken before the line beginning the race. So that's a rather average start, not really my fault. I did have to start on the chicanes. You can see how much of a gap we get to people ahead by starting on the chicane there. Alpine tries to go up the inside and it translates into a massive accident where the Mazda LM55 has a bit of a tank slapper across the track and collides into the car that began the entire chaotic event here. So we're here at Le Mans for 5 laps in Group 1. These races have a very strange strategy. So the way the tyre wear rate and fuel use rate works out, it's actually quicker to try and do a no-stop. But a no-stop strategy requires very liberal fuel saving, let's call it. Very generous fuel saving. So you really need to conserve, pick the right fuel mixes at the right times, lift and coast into corners at the end of long straights, short shift, and try not to use too much of your tyres. The tyres sort of can keep themselves for a little while, but the fuel is something you've really got to consciously try and save to be able to get to the end of the race, and hopefully everyone in this lobby can make it. But while I've been talking there, you can see I've got 2.7 seconds behind the guys ahead, and there is actually a penalty up there. Not quite sure how big it is, I can't quite make it out from this far back, but it should mean that I get at least close enough, maybe for some slipstream. So that's the guy in 10th place now. So the lap here at Le Mans is a long lap, a 38 turn lap with over the course of 13.6 kilometers. Of course, the longest straight, 1.7 kilometers long. But let's see what happens into Mulsanne Corner now. Yes, we get dive bombed by a Mazda 787B. Probably not really the right kind of car for this race, but that's not to worry. If we ran the version of Le Mans with no chicanes, 100% I would be using a Group C car. But the modern LMP 1 cars are good enough, actually probably the best cars for this combination here. But you see, my fuel saving is probably not very good, or overly good, or any good at all, and I'm getting bump drafted up the straight there. But you see, going through turn 24, Milk Angel has actually lost it on the exit, or on the outside of the curve there, and we catch up a load of ground to him. And the guy currently in 10th, Yuki Sui, we'll call him that anyway, he gets a bit of a oversteer moment on the exit of turn 25 Arnage, and he's now in good contention for a overtake. Porsche curves now, we brake just a little bit late, but it's not to worry as there's only really one line through here, and we've got someone, Jens, who's 1 or basically 2 tenths behind. He was right on my tail just momentarily before, and we're going to go through turn 32 now, and we get through there quite nicely actually. You can see the gap has opened up to about 4 tenths as opposed to 1, so he's no longer poking his nose into the bottom of my screen at the moment. You see, over the course of this entire lap, we've lost 15 seconds to the leader. So that, of course, is combined with very different rates of fuel usage and therefore more fuel saving by different drivers, especially the leader, who's expected to have the best strategy and is expected to win the race, obviously. But going into Dunlop chicane, I just get a little bit caught up on the curb, and you know what that means. A penalty, half a second, but it's a penalty nonetheless. And where we serve that penalty is going in, coming out of the first chicane on the straight. You see that Yansu R, sorry, goes way past going into the chicane and goes very, very deep, goes across the middle apex. We're going to be able to get past him. I don't think we are. We get hemmed in sort of behind him, and there's really no way past before we serve our penalty there. And I just drop a gear for half a second. I've got to remember, half a second penalty, you don't need to drop a gear when you serve the penalty, as you end up redlining the vehicle before, just after the end of the penalty there. And we get overtaken again by Sugar30. Very strange pronunciations of names here, or very strange names leading to strange pronunciations by people like me. But nonetheless, we're down in 14th position, which of course is not the best, as we started in 13th. Start lap 5 now. Let's see what happens coming up through the Dunlop chicane. So it goes deep, and we just make a little bit of a collision, and really, that was completely avoidable contact, but of course it leads to another half second of penalties. So that bit of contact there is sort of very weird. The guy went off. Really, he should have been ghosted. But you see, coming up towards the first chicane, we are going to get overtaken by Yuki Sui. Of course, probably not picking the best place to fuel save at present moment, and it leads to an overtake. And he goes very, very deep, copying the guy from before. What was it, Yansu R or something? Yes, so he managed to actually overtake him there, and I drop another gear, leading to redlining just after he served our penalty there. So he makes his way past, and we end up losing more time than if we didn't redline. So we're going to come into the first chicane now of lap 4. We just round the corner to see, oh yes, there's a Peugeot in the way. Oh, and we go very deep. Let's see what happens. A 5-second penalty. Oh, I cannot explain to you how backward that is. That is absolutely ridiculous. So he crashed into me and went off. Or he was going to go off and crashed into me on the way off, and the game thinks, well, you pushed him off, you idiot. So that is a 5-second penalty, and you can just see how painful it's going to be when I serve all 5 seconds, slowing down, 60 kilometers an hour, and we're down in 17th position. So this race here, it's sort of a bit of a taste that I'm really not as good as a driver as I think I am. So we hop over that curb there. Let's see if we can make our way past. He's very slow. I don't think it's quite going to be enough. Oh yes it is. I'm going to be able to get side by side before the Porsche curves. I'm on the inside for Porsche curves. Let's see if we can translate this into an overtake into 16th position in the last few corners of the last lap. We're going to be able to go around the inside. Yes, we just slot in just ahead of him by... that was probably millimeter perfect, getting an overtake on him. But we're going to fast forward to the end, going through Corvette curves, and we're going to go through the last 4 corners of the 4 chicanes, and we get through there. It's going to be a 16th position. Not great, but I'm not going to... absolutely, I'm not going to take the blame for that 5-second penalty, pushing that car off at the first chicane, La Che chicane, on La... oh, I'm not even going to try and pronounce the Le Honaudière chicane with my little French inflection there. But there you go, it's going to be a 16th position. Now, the top times for this sort of this combination here is actually done in the Alpine VGT Group 1 car. So it's a French manufacturer, Alpine, and of course part of the VGT program. But this is a qualifying lap now in the said VGT, so we're going to go through a lap here of Le Mans because we really need to improve on my currently 125. So you have to get a good launch. That Ghost there is actually the top time. I loaded that. We're going to see him streak away into the distance. It was just to help me sort of get on track. But let's see what we can do in this machine. Breaking into Dunlop chicane, we're going to go half the car onto the curb. Just keep the 2 wheels on the curb and most of the car on the green. Get a load of oversteer. So I'm going to say it right now, this lap has way more time in it. I would probably say I can go about 2 seconds quicker than what this time's going to be, but nonetheless we go through. So we're going to, that corner's flat out if you get it right, but Turret Rouge, very important, leads onto a straight. Just a little bit of braking, turn in perfectly, and just really maximise the curbing there, but you've got to keep 2 wheels on this sort of yellow and green stripe curb. We're going to go down La Honaudière now, so the chicanes, there's a lot of time to be gained to the chicanes, so you see the way I drive the car now. So once we hit the first apex of the chicane, I drop into first gear and then immediately up to second to rotate the car for the left-hand portion. First gear, rotate, second gear, now, and we accelerate out. So that was actually a rather quick way through the chicanes now, and of course the following chicane, La Floridiere chicane, is of course the exact same thing except the opposite directions. So we're going to accelerate down towards said chicane now. Turns 15 through 17 is what those chicanes represent. You can see we are actually behind on a 3 minutes 30.0 at said moment, but we'll see just how much time we gain coming through there. So we actually get that not quite as good as the first chicane there, so we're going to lose more time going down this straight. So while this lap is my best, I was actually, spoiler alert, quite happy with the final result of this lap, but you can just see how much time I actually do lose at the beginning of the lap. But we're going to gain a lot through Mulsanne corner. Brake nice and early, half the car over the curb, and then accelerate out using all the curb, all the runoff on the exit. You can see I actually gain out 5 seconds, so 3 minute 30 there on the right hand side of the screen as we speak. Included a large mistake at Mulsanne corner. I went very, very deep into the gravel trap. So we see going down through turns 21, 22 now, I'm gaining a lot of time, so 5.5 seconds up, so we're on track for a 3 minute 24.5, braking down towards Indianapolis corner, second gear, use the camber of the curve, or don't touch the gravel on the exit there, and then for this one, just sort of brake just there, really. A little bit wide through there, but not too bad. First gear to help get a good launch off there. A little bit loose on the exit, but not too bad. So we're 5.3 seconds up on a 3 minutes 30 at the moment. We're going to head through turn 26 now into turn 27, just before the Porsche curve. So turn 27 now, and then the first Porsche curve, turn 28. Slide it round, get on the power, keep it in 5th gear. This corner's flat out if you get it right, and we have done it flat out there. And another left-hander there into a right-hander, drop a gear into 4th, use that gear change to slow down the car and then turn in nice and early for turn 32. We're going to accelerate to, through turns 33 and 34 now, and the Ford chicanes. A lot of time to gain here, 6.2 seconds up at the moment. Braking down just before the pit entry, 3rd gear through the first Ford chicane, and then drop to second, use a lot of the curb through the second Ford chicane there, and we cross the line with a 3:23.5. Now, I was actually very, very stoked with that lap at the moment, so my performance through the second half of that lap there was very high, with the exception of going wide through turn 25 Arnage, but we get through that lap okay, and you can see in this particular instance, we are in pole position. So of course pole position last time was 3:18, but this particular lobby mustn't be too good. I've obviously dropped a bit of SR and DR from that poor finish in the Porsche 919. But nonetheless, it's a pole position, so you know what that means? I'm going to have to try and convert this into a victory. So let's see how close we get to that. So we're going to, of course, starting in pole position, we're going to start after the chicanes. We get on the power beautifully and cleanly, as opposed to people stuck in the chicanes on the start. So you can see the hybrid system of that LMP1 car just translates into an immediate overtake. So Group 1 has a large disparity in the types of vehicles that it is included in, and it goes very deep going through the first Dunlop chicane. He's actually ghosted, so we actually make our way past through there. We are short shifting the VGT car here, as I'm not sure on its rate of fuel usage, so I would rather be safe than sorry than run out halfway through the final lap. We don't want to do that, so I'm really careful about how much fuel we use, because I'm not sure how the VGTs sort of use their fuel. But we're going to go down the first part of the long straight now. So we've got Hoyin 511 behind the Taiwanese player in an LMP1 car, and you can just see the LMP1 car, while it has good acceleration, it tops out at obviously a slower speed than what I top out at. So I'm using that to my advantage, putting it in lean setting 6 momentarily to save as much fuel as possible. We slide around the apex of the first chicane there, don't quite get that as good as I would like, and you can see that just leads Hoyin to make his way past. So he's got 3/10s ahead now. I'm saving a little bit of fuel in lean setting 2, but I'm trying to follow his slipstream. I just don't want to drop out of that slipstream range. You can see it's starting to come down now. So I've now reached a speed higher than his, thanks to VGT's excellent top end speed. But is it going to be enough to make an overtake going into the second chicane? It's not. I have to brake just before him, really abuse these curbs here and get on the power nice and cleanly, you can see that hybrid system of the LMP1 car really leads to very, very fast acceleration there. So that, of course, is the main engine of the car, assisted with batteries which are recharging. You may have seen, if you're a keen-eyed viewer, you may have seen the little battery symbol in the fuel gauge when I was driving the LMP1 car just before. But I go very deep into Mulsanne corner, don't quite make the gravel there, but you can just see how much time I lose. 1.3 seconds, 1.5 seconds, was 6, 7, 8, it's soon going to be 2 seconds behind the leader, and that is really amount of time that I'm probably not going to gain, at least while I'm fuel saving. But that's not going to change, as that is the quickest, or supposed quickest way around the lap here. So that's thanks to Le Mans having a massive pit lane. You lose so much time, and I think it's a little bit too much going through turn 23 there. Yeah, it's half a second of penalties. You can see Hoyen has gone very, very deep going to turn 24, and very deep again through turn 25, and I'm just a little bit distracted with a bit of oversteer. You can see he's got himself a half a second of penalties, as do I, thanks to going a little bit too narrow through turn 23. But you can just see, if I didn't get that half second of penalties and maybe conducted myself a little bit better when he was right in front of me, this could probably result in me being in front of him at this point, with him still needing to serve the penalty. So we're going to go through Porsche curves. Now you can see the gap remains relatively constant, just as the notice of deceleration due to a penalty appears on the screen, and somehow I pick up another half a second through there, and because I was already serving a penalty anyway, I'll serve all of that here going into the forward chicanes. Now I get a massive tap in the rear and is forced to cut the first chicane there, so the guy thought I was going to be ghosted and go through me. You can see he's got 2 seconds, as thanks to that little incident there as I came out of the ghost at the wrong time. That, of course, is probably his fault, because I would not trust the game's ghosting system like he did in that particular instance. Going through Dunlop chicane, he's got himself an extra half second of penalties. Going to be 2.5 seconds he's going to need to serve right here as we skip ahead at the precise right point in time, and we make our way past him. So there's not going to be any way he's going to be able to stick in my slipstream. Yeah, he drops down to 4th place already. But in lap 3, going to the first chicane, he comes back. He's got another half a second for some incident. Obviously, the one I didn't see going into the first chicane, almost side by side, but I just back out, as going through there side by side is really not a good place to be. And I know I'm going to get the position anyway, thanks to his half second of penalties. So he only loses a little bit of speed. He's going to go back into my slipstream and probably not come out of it, as he's going fast enough. And yeah, it's going to be enough for him to stick into my slipstream. But as we reach the top speed of the VGT, you can see he's actually gaining a little bit, as I'm fuel saving quite heavily at this point. And is it going to be enough to get through before the second chicane? The answer is no, as I go over the middle curb quite well, actually, ride that curb, straddle that curb if you will, and we managed to get through there with 3/10 ahead of Scorpion Cancer. While I've been talking, the pole sitter Hoyen 511 has gotten 5.2 seconds ahead of me, so he's obviously the quickest in race pace. But going down towards Mulsanne corner, Scorpion 99 comes through and overtakes me. I try to go around the outside. It's going to be work side by side, a little bit of contact, but on the whole, that was a very good bit of racing. Side by side through Mulsanne corner usually doesn't end too well with the person on the outside in the gravel trap, but Scorpion Cancer did very, very well to leave me enough room on the outside. But coming in to the second chicane of lap 5, you can see, just have a look at that gap above my flag. It's coming down massively. Dust has kicked up. Someone's gone over the apex of the second chicane there. And coming out here, we've got a penalty. Is it Scorpion Cancer 99? He's slow with half second penalties. I do suspect that he may have run out of petrol. That is very unfortunate, as this race does require fuel saving, so he's obviously been pushing quite hard. And you can just see over the course of the next few corners, just keep your eye on the leaderboard on the left hand side, he's dropping positions. He's now in 5th as I break through Mulsanne corner now, get over that apex. That was actually quite a nice rendition of Mulsanne corner there. Let's see if that converts into a penalty. It does not, and you can see by the end of the race, Scorpion Cancer has dropped off the leaderboard, so he's actually had the fastest lap at 3:25, but that of course is going to be a lap with no fuel saving, and it's going to be a second position. 9.6 seconds behind the leader, so there does lead the question of whether he was sandbagging in his qualifying lap, but that Scorpion Cancer 99 is a rather curious case. So I think we are going to have a look at the replay of that, but not before I celebrate my second position with a 1-star result, pole position. That's not too bad. I'm happy with that, especially considering the type of race it is and the level of driver that I am. But yes, here we go. So this, we're going to ride on board with Scorpion Cancer now. Have a look at his petrol. It's very marginal, and I don't know really what he was thinking at the end of lap 4. He really, honestly, it's best to go into the pits than run out of fuel, really. So you can see going down the straight, he's got little to no fuel left. He's practically got nothing left. He's just lost power there. You just see full throttle, and he's losing a lot of speed. So let's see what happens going through the second chicane. You remember there was a lot of dust kicked up. He tries to brake as minimally as possible, and that of course is what gives him that penalty that we saw. But he's slow, and there's my red Alpine coming around the second chicane now, and it's about to roar past in what is a victorious bit of driving, at least for me. So that was Scorpion Cancer's downfall, if I can speak correctly, and that led me to picking up another position on the final lap. So that is where we're going to leave the Circuit de la Sarthe Race C for this particular video anyway. I'm sure it will come up in the future, as Group 1 at Le Mans is quite a loved combination for young and old developers and gamers alike. But that is going to be the end of the video today, so I do thank you very much for getting this far into the video. It means a lot, and you know what would mean even more? If you hit that like button or subscribe. I do urge you to subscribe. You can see amazing videos like this in your subscription box every week. But that is the end of the video today, and that means that is it from me. So once again, I do thank you very much for watching. See you later.